Welcome to the Yellow Zone module, diagnosis. This is the part where we're going to present the solution to our prospect. And we have to present this in a very authentic, natural way, but also keeping our authority. And it has to be extremely fitting to what the prospect already told us earlier in the call. So we are giving the prospect a custom made solution to their particular challenge. Even though the solution that you have is the same solution that you have for multiple prospects, but the way you present it is custom to them. Because you have to remember the equation perceived value equals value. Why is that? Really simple. Because obviously, they're only going to get access to your real product after they invest. So everything before that is not the real thing. It's a perception in their mind because they haven't experienced the real thing yet, and it's not possible for them to experience the real thing yet. Maybe some previews and stuff like that, demo, but generally speaking, it isn't. It's a perception that they have of what they're going to get when they buy the full thing. So perceived value equals value. And you increase the perceived value by making it custom made for them, because custom made suits are way more valuable than generic suits. So the first step within the yellow zone, or the 8th step within the framework, is a recap of everything that they told you. Within the orange zone, the analysis. So a very simple way for you to recap is to just have the framework in front of you, what they told you, the notes in front of you, and you just very simply transition. You're like, okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Prospect, for sharing everything with me that you just did. So if I understand correctly, right now your life looks like this, or your business looks like this, and you'd love to go to this goal with your business or with your life. Correct? Okay, perfect. You've tried this, you've tried that, you've tried this, and it hasn't worked for you. And the main obstacle you're facing right now is that your Facebook ads are constantly being blocked and you just cannot solve it, and therefore you cannot run your e-commerce store. Correct? Right? And you are looking for a company that's gonna just, take you by the hand and help you with this and this and this challenge that you're facing right now with your business, in order to get to that 20K profit per month goal with your e-commerce store. That's currently the situation that you're in, right? Yeah, perfect. Did I miss anything? Because if I did, please let me know. You shared a lot of things with me, and I really want to make sure that I help you properly. Now, if you missed something, the prospect here will tell you. Okay, so that's how you recap. Now, step number 9 is you go ahead and you present the solution to the prospect. So how do we present the solution? We have to present it with utter confidence. That's number 1. The way we transition to the solution is we just simply ask them for permission. Hey, is it okay with you if I share with you how we can help you? Because I'm 100% confident that we can get you to 20K per month if you follow our strategy. So is it okay with you if I share that with you? Yes, of course. You can go ahead and share it. That's what the prospect says. Then there is 2 stages to presenting the solution. First stage is the timeline. So what is going to happen when the prospect invests after the call, a week from now, a month from now, 3 months from now? You can break down the timeline for yourself, but I want you to break it down to 3 or 4 phases maximum. Cool? That's number 1, timeline. I'll touch more on it in a second. Number 2 is the deliverables. So deliverables is how it's actually going to happen for them. So these are the individual features that your program or service has. But you don't just want to list your features like a robot, because doing it that way is going to make it sound extremely salesy and not custom made for them. So this is how we're doing it. Stage number 1, we're going to present to them the timeline within the solution. So we're like, okay, I'm gonna explain to you how it works with QSA Live, for example. Really simple. We have 3 phases. The first phase, once you join, we're gonna teach you the skill of sales and influence and psychology. And we're gonna practice and practice and practice so much with each other that we know 100% for sure that you have the skill in the pocket. Now, when I know that you have the skill in the pocket because I'm actually doing these role plays with you and I'm looking at your role plays with other students, we're gonna go to phase number 2, which is landing you the opportunity. You get access to my personal network, and we're gonna make sure that you get the opportunity that fits within your interests. So, what you already are interested in, what you're passionate about, and also your skills. So both of these, I'm gonna look into them personally with you, and then we're gonna land you the perfect opportunity. So that's the second phase. And then the third phase is you're gonna get started, and I'm actually gonna look over your sales calls that you're doing. I'm gonna be giving you feedback. I'm gonna be telling you, hey, this is what you're doing well, so you can keep repeating it, and this is what you're not doing that well, and please go ahead and change that. So these are like the 3 phases when you join QSA Live. So phase number 1 is we're going to teach you the skill. Phase number 2 is going to land you the opportunity. Phase number 3, you're going to get started, and we're going to make sure that you are doing it really well. So you get started, maybe in the beginning you're going to get 30% conversion rate, and then we're going to keep increasing that to 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. It's an ongoing process, and you're never done learning about the topic of sales and psychology. It is endless. I've been in this field for over 8 years, and I'm still learning more and more and more every single day, and I freaking love it. And I wish you absolutely the same. So that is the timeline. I hope that makes sense. So we're presenting the solution right now. We first start with the timeline, what's going to happen, when they invest, the phase, we use 3 or 4 phases maximum. And then we go to the second part of the solution, which are the deliverables, which means how we are going to make those goals within the timeline happen, okay? So now you have to choose a couple of deliverables, and those, I'm talking about 3 to 4 deliverables as well. For example, within QSA, we have a private chat. So I'm not talking about the feed here in school. So QSA Live members get access to a live chat. And in this live chat, they can talk to each other, and the response time is instant. So school is maybe a little bit longer because, it's a feed, right? It's not a chat. But within QSA Live, we have an actual chat. So you get instant response from me, from the other mentors, from the actual students that are making 10K plus per month. So also the quality of the answers are going to be better. So that is deliverable number 1. But we don't just talk about the deliverable. So we say, you're going to get access to a private live chat, which is perfect for you because you mentioned to me earlier in the call that personal one-on-one guidance is extremely important to you, and fast response rate is extremely important to you, and this is where you are going to get it. And then during deliverable number 2, it's the same thing. So what you're also going to get access to is our weekly live mentorship calls, and we have 3 of those every single week that you're going to be attending live. And these are not just going to be calls where you're just going to be staring at me and looking at me talking, but these are calls where you're going to be interacting with me, role playing with me, asking me any questions that you have, and asking also the other students that are doing 10K plus any questions that you have. So you get the personal mentorship that you've been longing for a very long period of time, which you really didn't get when you just had access to our course and in the school community. So for example, like that, let's say that is important to you as a prospect, I would mention it to you specifically like that. So that is deliverables, right? Another example, not in the coaching space, but let's say you're selling a phone, for example. So someone walks into your store, they want to buy a phone. How do you present the deliverables of the phone? Well, it depends on what the prospect needs. So let's say the prospect comes in and they're like, you ask them, what do you need a new phone for? And they're like, or like you ask them, hey, what are you going to use the new phone for? And they're like, yeah, I have this trip coming up. I'm going to go to Thailand, and I'm going to be doing a lot of adventures. I would love to record those so I can show those to my kids later, to my parents as well. I'm gonna dive in the water as well, so it would be lovely if I, can record underwater, stuff like that. So anyway, now you know that the camera, especially the video quality, is the most important aspect to the prospect. Not necessarily so the GPU and the processor and how fast it can run the latest video games on the phone, right? This person is not a gamer. This person wants to travel and make videos and photos. So the way you're going to present the latest iPhone to him is, okay, this iPhone has X amount of megapixels, 60 frames per second, 4K quality. So what does that mean? That means you're going to be able to shoot the best and highest quality videos and photos that are going to be good to look at. Even 50 years from today, the quality will still be on par. So you are mentioning the features about how many megapixels it has, but no prospect gives a shit about the megapixels. They give a shit about what the megapixels mean for them, can do for them. Does that make sense? So the prospects don't give a shit about the individual features or deliverables. They care about what they can do for them. So that's what I want you to mention as well. This feature is going to be able to do this. So that's how you present the solution. Timeline first, and then how are we going to make the timeline actually happen? We make it happen through deliverable 1, deliverable 2, deliverable 3. And then every single time you're presenting a point, you stop, you pause, and you ask the prospect, does that make sense? Do you have any questions, etc., etc. Now, this might sound like so much info, so overwhelming. There's all these steps and all that kind of stuff. And I would love to make it way more simple for you. However, you just have to practice in order to become good at this, and you have to get the underlying psychology of sales and communication and influence to understand why every single one of these zones are so important, and all of these steps, why they're so important, and what the function is of these. Again, within QSA Live, you and I both are going to be role playing together, and I'm going to be making sure that you're going to understand everything and you're going to be able to have this be second nature for yourself. So after you present the solution, you simply want to transition to step number 10 within the framework, which is the check-in. A check-in is really simple. After you've presented everything, obviously don't talk too much during the solution and try to check in, whilst you're presenting the solution with them. But this is one final check-in where you just simply ask them, so, makes sense? Everything? Did you get everything? Did I miss anything? Do you have any questions? If there are any questions that you have, please go ahead and just ask me anything you want. And you want to invite the prospect to ask you as many questions as they have. This is going to make them feel safe, and this is going to also make them think for themselves right now and not later after you drop the investment, because then they really start thinking. But you want them to think before you drop the investment so you can pre-handle all the potential objections that are going to come up later. During the check-in, you can also ask them a question, for example, like a temperature check. Hey, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being you absolutely hate this product and you want nothing to do with us, and 10 being like, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for, and I believe that this is going to solve the challenge that I'm having right now within my business. Where would you say you're at right now on this scale? And you want to just temperature check a little bit. Where are they at? Are they at a 7 or lower? Then you want to ask them, thank you for sharing. I do want to make sure, though, that you're 100% confident in working with us before we proceed with this step. So, I'm curious, what would there be needed for us to go from a 7, which we are right now, to, let's say, a 9.5 out of 10? What do you think would be necessary for us to get there? What is missing right now for you? And then they're going to share with you what is missing. And most of the time it's a miscommunication. Probably this feature that they are looking for is within the program. So you can just tell them that it is within the program. Or if it isn't within the program, then you have to let them know that they actually don't need that particular feature that they think they are missing. And you just explain to them, why they don't need that particular feature depending on program or service that you are selling. So let's say you're selling an e-commerce program and they're saying, what would take it from a 7 to a 9.5 out of 10 is if you guys build my store for me. Then you can just simply share with them, yeah, I totally understand why, you think that is convenient. And, on first sight, it makes total sense that, you think that that is really good for you. But can I share my 2 cents on this topic with you? I mean, I would love to share it. And then they say yes, and then you're like, okay, so, have you ever heard about the story of the man that was fishing and another guy came to that man and, he asked him if he could have a fish? Have you ever heard about that story? Most of the time they will say yes, but sometimes they will say no. And then you can just share the story. You can be like, okay, so another man came to a fisherman and he asked him for a fish. And the fisherman looked at him and he asked, I can give you a fish today, but what I can also do for you is I can teach you how to fish. And then you don't just have food for a day, but you have food for the rest of your life. So which one of these two would you rather have? And obviously the person would rather have fish for his entire life, aka learn how to fish. So using the same example, would you just ask the prospect, so would you rather have us build you the store and you not knowing how we did it, the psychology behind it, the structures behind it, and you being fully dependent on us making it for you? And let's say, we or the business owner that's gonna do it for you passes away one day and he cannot do it for you anymore. Like, what are you gonna do? So would you rather have us do it, or would you rather learn how to do it yourself so it's fully in your control and you can do it yourself, and you could potentially even start teaching it to your loved ones, and they're going to be able to make their e-commerce stores and you're going to be able to change their lives as well. Like, which one would you rather have? Now, actually thinking about it that way, I'd rather learn it myself. Perfect. So now that you agree with me that doing it and learning it yourself is better than us doing it for you, where would you say you're at right now on the scale? Now I am a 9. Yeah. Oh, perfect. A 9. You know what? That's good enough. I'll make sure we'll get it to a 10 when you get started and give you a wonderful experience. So anyway, that's how you do the check-in. That's how you know you're good to move on to the next point. When they're hyped, when you fuel their energy, when they're on the peak moment, and then we're gonna transition to the green zone, which is conversion. See you in that one.